Hey guys, I'm the Burke and I do things, and I am so excited for today's video. You do not even understand. Today I am, oh, there's just so much. Okay, let's start. If you know me, you know that I have always wanted to use this platform to help people, and today we have something good to do together. So let's get into what this video is all about. So today I am happy to say I am partnering with Erno Lazlo. For full disclosure, this is not a sponsored post. I'm not being paid to make this video. However, they have provided me with a shipping label to ship a box. So just for full disclosure, let's get into what we're shipping. So Erno Lazlo is partnering with Project Beauty Share this winter, and they will be donating up to $10,000 to improve the lives of women and families that are overcoming abuse, addiction, homelessness, etc. So if you're not familiar with what Project Beauty Share is, it is a nonprofit organization that will collect your gently used / new personal hygiene products, makeup, cosmetics, beauty stuff, whole shebang. And then what they do is they take those products and anything that's been used, they will disinfect, and then they distribute the products to organizations and people in need. So what I'm going to do today in this video is you're going to watch a declutter of me going through my entire eyeshadow palette collection and decluttering a few palettes I'm going to be getting rid of. And then at the end of the video, I will show you how I'm donating, what I'm donating, because I'm donating more than just eyeshadows. I will give a warning. I did film the eyeshadow portion of this video before I got my new lighting, so the lighting is not going to be superb during my eyeshadow portion of this video, so I apologize in advance. So another really cool thing about this entire campaign that Erno Lazlo is doing with Project Beauty Share is if you use the hashtag holiday donation, Erno Lazlo will donate $10 for every post including that hashtag. And make sure in your post that you tag at Erno Lazlo NYC and at Project Beauty Share. And you can also visit ernolazlo.com/Project Beauty Share for more information. What I will do now is I'll actually throw up a screen grab of everything Project Beauty Share accepts in their organization. And if you guys want to pause it, screenshot it, feel free to do so now. I also will have all the information necessary listed in my description box if you guys feel like you missed anything or you still have any questions. And just a reference, the eyeshadow collection you're about to watch, basically I split it into large palettes, medium palettes, small palettes, and I just start with ColourPop because it's kind of like a all over the place kind of a category. And the point of the declutter you're about to see isn't because I wanted to get rid of half of my collection. It's because my makeup drawer was not closing, so I wanted to take out a few things that I'm not using anymore that are gently used that I can donate. And if you want to see what else I'm donating and how to go about doing this, stay tuned till the end of the video. Like I said, I'm so excited for this opportunity to work with Erno Lazlo to help people in need. So if you're ready to watch me declutter some eyeshadows and just to see the eyeshadow palettes I have in general, then keep on watching. Let's go. So the way I decided to do this was like big palettes, medium palettes, small palettes, kind of like break it into 3 sections. However, before we do that, I want to just like do all ColourPop at once, since that's the brand I definitely have like the most of palettes wise. And there's something I kind of want to do that's kind of interesting before we do get into ColourPop. I'm not decluttering any of my ColourPop, but I will show you what I have. As far as you said 12 pan? Yeah, the 12 pan palettes, I do have 3. I have My Little Pony, Dream Street, which is the palette I'm wearing today, and I have Sweet Talk. For the 9 pan monochromatics, I have Main Squeeze, Aren't You Glad, and Honey. So where we're gonna get a little creative is I also have this palette, which is my ColourPop singles, but I also have just this plain empty palette that also has the very few amount of magnetic pan that I've gotten. Most of these are like from Ipsy bags and stuff, but in this I only have 3 eyeshadows. So I'm thinking of taking the 3 ColourPop face products out of that, putting them in here, and then this would be like a face palette and wouldn't have to take up room in my eyeshadow palette drawer anymore. And then we'll put the 3 eyeshadows in here. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, now I feel more comfortable moving this with my face palettes. And now I have room in here. So this I have is Pep Talk from ColourPop. This is something they sent me when like one of my orders came late. This is an Elizabeth Mott single, I believe, that I got in an Ipsy bag. This is also from an Ipsy bag. I think this is a Deuce shadow, but there we go. Now I've kind of eliminated room by removing this big guy from the parade, and now I have like a little face palette here. So progress. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start with the large palettes and then work our way down. So I have looked through all my large palettes, and even though large palettes are not something I love and reach for a lot, I've decided I'm going to keep all the ones I have because I feel like I have curated this part of my collection down well, and I've gotten rid of the large palettes I don't really love. So the largest one I do have is the Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe. I recently used this in my Ulta's bestseller video, and even though it does overwhelm me and stuff, like I just really like the quality, and every time I use it, my eyeshadow turns out really well. So I see no reason to get rid of this. The next large palette I'm going to be keeping is the Nudie Patootie palette from Laura Lee Los Angeles. I have to be careful because this one like pressed shadow is very delicate, but it's one of my all-time favorite like nude neutral palettes. So I definitely really enjoy using this. I have a couple here from BH Cosmetics. So the oldest one I have is this. This is the Weekend Festival palette. I don't have a lot of very colorful shadows, but this is one of them, and I actually really like this, and I think the quality is fantastic. The next one I have from BH is the Royal Affair palette. This is actually a really nice, more cool tone palette. This is from last year's holiday collection. I like this one a lot more than the holiday one they put out this year. So I'm glad that I grabbed this and found it at TJ Maxx. And then I also grabbed this one during one of their sales this past summer. This is the Desert Oasis palette. This one is fantastic. This is all just like beautiful highlighters, beautiful deserty tones. BH's palettes are very good quality. One of my most recent additions to my collection that I got in New York is the Carity Rose All Day palette. I honestly have only used it the one time I filmed with it this past month, but so far, very much enjoying this. It's making me want to explore the brand more for sure. The palette I've been talking about a lot on my channel is the e.l.f. Nude Classics palette. The quality for e.l.f. is so good, like really good quality. This one I kind of went back and forth on. This is the Makeup Revolution SoFX Extra Spice palette. I recently used this in a palette bingo, and I feel like if I hadn't used it in that palette bingo, I don't think I would have kept it, but I've really enjoyed using it in that video, which made me realize maybe it is a little bit better than I expected. This is the only Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palette I own. I don't mind it. It's not that bad. Next is one that I got in an Ipsy Glam bag. This is the balm in the palm of your hands. This is actually half eyeshadow, half face palette, but I keep it with my eyeshadows. But I do really like this one. Ooh, here's another really good one we got from Ipsy. This is the Nomad Berlin Underground palette. I really like this palette. I've been very impressed with these eyeshadows. This was in my oldest makeup video. This is the Marc Jacobs Object of Desire palette. I said in that video that it's so bulky and obnoxious, but the quality is so good. These shadows are like butter. And I did get this a couple years ago at Marshall's. It's like my special little Marc Jacobs guy here. The next is this one from Voss. This is the Holy Grail palette. I got this in a Boxy Luxe. I am a big fan of this one. This is the first product I ever tried from Voss, and man, did it put them on my radar. This next palette, I've never really seen anyone talk about it. It just kind of was in Target one day and I grabbed it, and then like it was never there again. I had never heard anyone talk about it, but it holds like a special little place in my heart. It's this palette from L'Oreal that they did with Mickey Mouse. It kind of looks like a dupe of the Urban Decay Naked Heat, I guess, but it's special to me. I love my Disney palette. Last one of our big palettes is one of my very few colorful palettes. It is the Urban Decay Kristen Leanne palette. This one is very colorful, but you know, for those like 3 times a year I need colorful shadows, I do have about 3 eyeshadow palettes that have color options, and this is one of those 3. So those were the big palettes. Now, once we get into the medium-sized palettes, now we're gonna start getting rid of some makeup. So I do only have one Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I did get this one recently from Marshall's. This is the Sultry palette. I have really been enjoying this. Actually, this one is a very high contender to be our monthly palette in December for sure. Now I have my Too Faced palettes. I am keeping all my Too Faced palettes. I only have 3, but I really do like them all. I have Chocolate Gold, Semi-Sweet, and Gingerbread. One of my other very few colorful palettes is the Urban Decay Electric palette. Actually, Scott's sister was able to use this for her Halloween look this year. So I do think it's valuable to have a couple colorful shadows in my collection for those moments when somebody around me or myself needs a color, but I don't have too many. I think actually we may have already gone through all of them. Yeah, it really was 30. Next is this palette. This is from Shop Miss A, and I actually always forget I have this, but I really do like it. So this is just 9 single shadows from the Shop Miss A website. I actually like this palette. Kind of forgot I had it. Glad that I remember now. One that I really love from BoxyCharm, this is probably my favorite palette we ever got from BoxyCharm, is the Alomar Volume 1 palette. Whew, one of my favorite summertime palettes to use. This one I also really like from BoxyCharm. This is the Ace Beauté Grandiose Palette. This to me is like a super, super fall palette. I really, really like the colors in it. This next one was on the chopping block. I decided to keep it because I feel like I haven't really used it enough to make a full decision, but I haven't been super overwhelmed with this one. This one came in Boxy Luxe, and this is the Violet Voss Essentials palette. I haven't found that this has the same quality as the Holy Grail palette, but I want to give this one a little bit more time before I really decide to cut it off. Now we can talk about the medium-sized palettes I'm decluttering. The first one is actually from my very first ever BoxyCharm. This is the BoxyCharm and Pure Cosmetics palette. You know, for a while I liked it and I really didn't mind it. I know it did not do super well as far as reviews go. It's at that point where the color story just doesn't speak to me anymore, and I never reach for it, and I'd much rather pass it along to someone who would use it. Another Pure palette I've decided to get rid of is the Festival palette. Kind of feel the same way. I do actually really like the neutral portion of this, but I cannot stand these glitters, and I don't need to keep this palette just for the neutral shades. I have tons of neutral shades, so I'm gonna pass this one along to someone else. This next one is from Pixie, and this is the Pixie X Chloe Morello palette. The concept is really cool, but the execution wasn't there for me. So it has 3 blushes, which are nice. This is like brows and eyeshadow, and then there's a bunch of eyeshadow colors here. It just, when I used it on my eyes, it just didn't do anything that I really was overly impressed by, and you know, it takes up a lot of room, so I'd much rather pass it along. I'm also going to pass along this one. This one is from Target's Beauty line. I got this after the holidays last year when all the holiday stuff was on sale. It was their I Adore You eyeshadow palette, and I paid $2.50 for it, and for $2.50, like, it was pretty good, but the longevity wasn't there, so it kind of just eventually disappeared. So I never reached for it, so I will be passing that along as well. Okay, this next one actually was in a favorites video once, but I haven't reached for it in so long. It's the NYX Love You So Mochi Electric Pastel Palette. These are really, really cool eyeshadow toppers, but guess how often I use eyeshadow toppers? Yeah, it's time to say goodbye. Now we can get to the little palettes, which are obviously my weakness and what I love the most, but I got a little cutthroat on small palettes. Let's just put it that way. Okay, going through what I'm keeping first. I have to be careful with this one. My Natasha Denona mini nude palette I use so much, but also like all these shadows are like crumbling apart, so I have to be really careful. But I really, really love this. Like, I probably use these eyeshadows more than anything in my collection. Probably the only Tarte eyeshadow palette I've ever genuinely liked is the Flirt palette. So I did grab this during one of the Sephora sales, and I actually don't mind it. It's pretty good for Tarte. That's a compliment, trust me. I'm also going to be keeping the Mini Baby Nubian palette. I got this in the Lure Beauty box. I'm definitely keeping this. I'm keeping all of my Huda palettes. So I have Smoky Obsessions, Coral Obsessions, and Mauve Obsessions. I'm going to be keeping this Morphe palette. I actually really like using this with a glitter shadow because it's just 3 basic nudes that you can make a eye look with and then throw a glitter over top. It's actually very handy. I'm also going to keep this from Makeup Geek. This is the Infatuation Quad. Love these eyeshadows, such good quality. And then I also will be keeping both of the Dose of Colors eyeshadow palettes that I just got last month in BoxyCharm. And now let's talk about what we're getting rid of. First is this. This I think came in an Ipsy bag. This is the Wander Beauty Wanderer's Seascape palette. These shades just like don't show up when I use them, so goodbye. This came in BoxyCharm. This is the Tarte, I don't even know what this palette is called. This palette. Well, it's not as bad as other Tarte shadows I've used. It's just, I'm done with it. This one was actually a big disappointment to me. This was a eyeshadow palette from Collab at Sally's Beauty. Of all the products I tried from the Collab brand, this actually disappointed me the most. It just had no longevity and really bummed me out because it's really pretty, like palette. These next two kind of hurt me to get rid of, but I don't reach for them enough and I'd much rather pass them along to someone who will use them. So the first is the Wet n Wild, not a basic peach palette. I really do like this, but with all of the makeup I constantly have coming in subscription boxes, like I need to be realistic with what I like and what I use and need to make room for the new stuff. So I'm gonna say goodbye to this. I'm also gonna say goodbye to this, the Covergirl Chocoholic palette. It smells so good. I feel like I'm gonna regret it, but it's a lot of dark browns and I don't reach for it that often, so I'm gonna say goodbye. One last eyeshadow palette I will be decluttering is the Butter London Natural Goddess palette. This one just did not work out for me at all. Okay, so that was the end of the declutter. Now we'll get into packaging up this box. This is clearly an old Bath & Body Works box, so this is what we'll be putting all of our goodies in. Something I love to do whenever I get packages in the mail is I feel like all the time there's just like bubble wrap right at the bottom of that package. So I like to keep that and just throw it in a future package. So I'll be using this big bubble wrap, especially because we have powder products. I worry about them breaking. So I'm gonna show you some of the things that I'm donating besides just the eyeshadow palettes. So I will put our eyeshadow palettes in here. They really do accept quite a variety of items at Project Beauty Share. I'm going to throw in a whole bunch of shampoo and conditioner foil packets. I have a brand new razor. I have a few gently used face primers here. I have some gently used pressed powders. They do not accept opened loose powders, but they do accept gently used pressed powders. I actually have my old straightener here that is totally functional, so we can make sure to pass that along to somebody who could use it. All lip products have to be brand new, so I have a few little like lip balm products here to donate. For foundation, it has to not be a foundation that is in a tub or one with the spatula, so we have a couple pumps and squeezy tubes here that we can donate. I have some setting spray. As far as brow pencils, eyeliners, lip pencils, the only type that you can send gently used are the kinds that have like, that you can sharpen with a pencil. So I have a couple products here we can include. I'm gonna throw in some hair products. I have some toothpaste we can include. Have a bunch of body moisturizers, shower gel, deodorant, a body spray, some face masks. That's what I will be including in my box. Let's see if I can. All right, so as you can see, here is what my box looks like right now. I will be sealing this up and shipping it out. And I am very thankful to Erno Lazlo for giving me this opportunity to use my platform to spread awareness to how simple it is to donate your used products. Definitely tag me if you guys are going to donate your products. I just think it's the perfect time of year to put a smile on someone's face. I don't want to get too sappy in this video. I'm just very happy to be able to use my platform to do something like this. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know, like that's kind of what I've always wanted to do here. And I feel like Erno Lazlo totally is really doing something awesome here by helping spread awareness, because you don't always necessarily know where to send, what to send, and I feel like this is a great way to be educated. Like I said, thank you again to Erno Lazlo for giving me this opportunity. I am very grateful. And like I said, if I forgot to mention anything, I will leave everything you guys need to know in the description, all the links, all the hashtags, all the places you can tag. And yeah, that is it for this video. As usual, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I have my Twitter and my Instagram down below. Give them a follow and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!